a little bright right now.
So you are gonna keep the weird like border on your video?
It's his monitors.
It looks like you're. There's a camera, like Jack
we're
Nicholson.
peeping. It's like we're peeping
on
through.
you.
Yeah, it's like if you peek through the hole that Jack Nicholson took the axe to in The Shining.
It's cinematic.
Yeah, exactly.
An easy way to.
Kyle's gonna add color borders.
Wait, was that the Avatar game, Kyle?
Yeah, I still have the from. The,
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we're gonna try to replay it.
I forgot you had that.
Get it
That's
working.
funny.
Amazing.
All right, y'all ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Van Aken, and today I'm joined by Marcus Stewart. How you doing, Marcus?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy
This
New
is
Year.
My sorry for 2024. You remember that song?
No, that flew right over my head.
This is my sorry for 2004 by American Idol winner, I think, or winner Ruben Studdard.
Poor Ruben.
Nope. Sounds made up.
He was like the first or second winner ever.
Yeah. Poor Ruben. He got overshadowed by Kelly Clarkson in terms of like the early years of American Idol.
Yeah, I mean, I think still, because Kelly Clarkson's still doing stuff.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We're also joined by Kyle Hilliard. How you doing, Kyle?
Hello. I don't have a fun song reference. Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know American Idol. I never watched that show.
I watch it now. It's good.
Now?
Yeah, they got new hosts.
Seems like you missed the boat on when to watch it.
No, I watched
late.
it as a kid too, but then they rebooted the show like 5 years ago with Lionel Richie, Luke Bryan, and Katy Perry as the hosts.
Huh.
And it's really good now.
Who's the mean one in that group?
Yeah.
None of
who's
them.
the Simon?
None of them.
Wait, you have to have a hard ass.
No, it's like wholesome now. It's good.
You gotta have a Raphael.
Why don't I don't want to watch? Yeah. I was
No,
like, is
it's
Lionel
really
Richie,
good.
Like, is
They're
Lionel
like-
Richie going off on people? Or?
They have a lot of great chemistry, and so it's just like you're watching a podcast sometimes. Like they just go off on tangents, and I'm like, this is what I wanted.
All right.
The podification of network TV.
Of reality television.
Talking about what they have for lunch before they critique someone.
I mean, yeah, they do. It's fun. It's a good time. Anyways, I'm also joined by our lovely podcast editor, the person who makes it sound great every week, the person who apparently was also on our last year's most anticipated games episode, Matt Storm. How you doing, Matt?
Good. I'm happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. It's a good way to kick off the year. I feel like we've got the crew here, everybody who works on this show. We're starting off the year strong.
Yeah. It's exciting also to be back and realize how many games are just coming out in January that I forgot about.
Yeah.
And it'll only get worse because I was like, oh, well, there's one game I want this month, and then looked at the list and went, no, there's like 5. Oh, well.
Yeah, I know. We're going to get into that in just a second. But real quick, Matt, tell people what you do.
Sure.
Where they can find you.
So some may say I do too many things. I included in those people who say
I'm one of
it.
those people. I've said that to you before.
Very often. So I've been a podcast host and producer and editor for about 10 years. Also been a DJ for 10 years. And currently I am working on this very show, as you all know, as the audio editor for the podcast. And then I also host a few podcasts of my own. The one that might be most interesting to folks who listen here is one that you mention all the time, Alex, and I'm grateful for, is my video game podcast, Fun and Games, that I host with the incredible Jeff Moonen. It's a broad topic-based discussion show. We recently had Marcus on to do a retrospective of Spider-Man and video games, which was a lot of fun. We also do a sub-series in that feed called Side Quests that you've all done episodes for.
Those are fun.
which is a lot of fun. Kyle did one on Ocarina of Time.
I can't
Alex,
believe
you
no
did
one
one.
did Ocarina of Time. I was like, what? No one's done this yet?
I mean, turns out there's a lot of video games. Turns out,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
there are
true.
a lot of them.
I did one on
Alex,
City of Heroes.
you sure did. And Marcus did one on Final Fantasy X. Yes, I have them all memorized. I don't always remember the episode numbers, but I do remember what people have done because I edit each and every one of those episodes. But it's a lot of fun. I recently did an episode on Alan Wake 2, and the debut episode of SideQuest was Control, so it felt like Kismet to come back to Remedy for that. And then I also do another video game.
They're like these bite-sized solo episodes where it's just a person gushing about one of their favorite games. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the internet tends to be pretty negative when it comes to video games. A shock, I know that the mass public tends to talk down on stuff. But like, I was getting annoyed that someone was critiquing a screenshot in the last Paper Mario when we hadn't seen gameplay yet, and I was like, this is stupid. They're stupid. Like, they're critiquing an image. This is dumb. I want to put positivity into the world, and then playing Control, I was like, I have to talk about this game somewhere. I'm going to create a whole new series just to do it, and it's been fun. Yeah, I love, like, I've had so many different folks, podcasters. I've had listeners of the show who don't even podcast do an episode like into their voice memo that I've edited and put out, which is a lot of fun because those are the folks who like get the most passionate, I think, about games because they have no like prior podcasting experience. It's always
They don't
fun
have that outlet necessarily. Yeah. Cool.
But it's a great show. I love doing it. Really quick, my other video game show is Reignite, which is a BioWare themed podcast, at least for now. We did the entire Mass Effect franchise, and now we are diving into Dragon Age, for better or worse. Origins is rough. I love that game, but going back to it is tough. But Frankie and I wanted to do a show where we put ourselves in the shoes of the main character and discuss the decisions we make. I mean, a lot of it was also an excuse to talk about the romance in Mass Effect because that's our favorite part. But but also, I'm still bitter that as a male shep, you can't romance Thane. It's stupid. It's just dumb. But yeah, we love like critically looking at those decision trees and how to make choices and when you personalize it, how that affects your character. And so that's been a lot of fun. And we'll eventually do the new Mass Effect and Dragon Age if they ever come out, ? But I
think they'll come out soon enough.
I mean, this summer we're gonna see Dreadwolf allegedly.
Well, yeah, we got a trailer for the trailer.
Yeah, right. Well, how long before y'all get to Anthem?
Yeah, we're probably not going to cover that one. Just doesn't seem worth diving into.
Back in the day before Game Informer, I hosted an Anthem podcast. So I had this thing where one of our strategies was we would start like we did a lot of limited run shows and we would start them for like these live service games. And it worked out really well. I had like, at one point in time, I was hosting the #1 Apex podcast. And it was getting like 10,000 downloads an episode. It was back before like working for a major outlet. Those are like really big numbers. Yeah. I mean, even for a big outlet, like we see an episode on some of our shows. So that's like awesome. And so we had started just spinning out. We're like, okay, we got to strike gold again. And we did one for Anthem called Freelancer's Guide. It was me and my stepdad. And it was awful. We were like, once the game came out, we're like, we have to do this podcast now.
Oh no! I think that's why you have to talk about Anthem in a BioWare podcast. That is like a crucial part of its history. Like, you know, for better or worse, quality
one
of the
episode
game
at least.
Like you have to it has to be addressed. It changes the trajectory of BioWare. You know, undeniably.
Yeah, true. Now they put exosuits in everything now, right?
That's true. Right. Yeah. It's because of them. No, yeah. I mean, I think it's a BioWare podcast because we want to talk about storytelling in both series we've done as BioWare. But I imagine before going to another BioWare game, we'd do something like maybe the Fable series or Skyrim, though that would be way too big. Like we want to talk about games where you can put yourself in the character's shoes.
Yeah.
And Anthem sort of lets you do that, but definitely not in the same way. But we have talked about other BioWare games before and done roundups and special like round tables about like the Legendary Edition and things. So it's not out of the question that we do it, but definitely not at the top of our list to cover.
That Anthem and the Sonic RPG, like neck and neck for will we cover them.
Man, what a recipe. That could have been incredible. BioWare and Sonic teaming up, and it was just awful. Oh boy. But yeah, really quick, really quick, the last podcast that I do pretty regularly is called Screen Snark, which Marcus has also guest on, which during the strike, we did different things, but now that the strike is over, we cover the most recent things we've watched. So we bring a guest on, and me and the host and a guest each take turns talking about the most recent thing we watched. We discuss it, and then we usually
There's an
interview
episode
the
that
guest.
y'all did on Game Informer's Spelunky documentary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the thing I had watched most recently, and I really loved it and wanted to talk about it. Because I've loved the documentaries that you guys have done here, and it was worth shouting out as like its own little short film, I think. So definitely, yeah. But and that's a fun show. It's mostly an excuse to make fart jokes for an hour while interviewing a guest, but it's really great. I do that with the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank, and and then I write articles for the Patreon for Fun and Games. I've been doing that this year.
The whole shebang.
I just do too much. I don't like free time. It's my enemy, and so I combat it by doing more work.
Well, lastly, be sure to go follow Matt on social media, DJ_Stormageddon.
Thank you.
And keep up with all of their work there. Well, it's time to dive in to GameInformer.com/2024, our video game release schedule that is constantly updated by Game Informer staff. And in chronological order. So we're going to go from January through the end of the year, talking about the ones we're looking forward to most of those months. Of course, there's going to be some months where there's nothing that's been announced yet, like as far as a firm release date, but then we can go through our TBA list as well, which is, if you're on the website, it's at the bottom of the calendar. But let's dive in first. January 2024, finally here. I'm still not used to. Luckily, I don't have to really write 2024 much these days.
Yeah, we're not going back to school, and you do the awkward thing where like,
I was at the DMV yesterday, and that was the first time I was like, oh, okay, yeah, 2024.
You gotta trade your hand.
Yeah. Well, kicking off the year, I think the biggest one for me, I mean, we'll get to the big one, but I think the first early heavy hitter that I've played is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, January 18th. I'm very much looking forward to that. I grabbed a demo of it at Ubisoft Live during SGF last year, and was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess we're getting a 2D side scroller, Prince of Persia. I mean, I've played this before, but let me try it. And ended up coming away like super enthused. It's a really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But are y'all excited for that one?
Oh yeah. I think, I don't know if you've played it, Matt, but I think I'm the only one in staff or the few to have not touched it at all. And I've been jealous of like you and Kyle for having getting to play it. But I'm a huge Prince of Persia fan. I love Metroidvanias and action games. So everything I've seen of this game it's just so up my alley. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. I played the first 3 hours and spoke with Ubisoft Montpellier quite a bit. And I mean, I love Prince of Persia. Sands of Time is one of my favorites. Marcus, I feel like we were talking about it recently, where I was like, if I look at that generation, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time might be in my top 5. Like, I really, really love that game. And the thing that I was taken with playing through the first 3 hours of Lost Crown was I was like, this is kind of what I expected in a positive way. This feels very Metroid-y. Like, Metroid Dread is definitely, like, I can feel that in the game in a good way. And the combat's super fun. But the thing that I was, like, not expecting was, like, the story was pulling me in. Like, I'm bummed that I had to stop playing after 3 hours, because they left me in such a place where I was like, well, geez, I absolutely want to see what happens next. I'm surprised they even let me play up to this point. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything about the story, but I cannot wait. I do think that in 2024, it certainly is in danger of being that game at the end of the year that we're like, oh right, Prince of Persia came out, but like I'm confident that like that it will hit hard when it comes out. I think people are going to be, even people with high expectations, I think will be surprised by Lost Crown.
Yeah, I am a diehard Prince of Persia fan. I love the original like trilogy of games, and even the remake and everything. I've played those as well. And I'm a huge Metroidvania fan, so like this hits all the notes for me. On Funny Games, we recently did a retrospective on the PS2, and even though it wasn't a PS2 exclusive, it was across all platforms at the time. That's like my number one PS2 game with a bullet was Sands of Time, because I played it so much on that console specifically. So even though it's multi-platform, to me, it was like a PS2 game. And yeah, once they said this was going to be Metroidvania, like Dread was my favorite game of that year. I love the Metroid franchise. And so mixing those two things is really exciting, because also we haven't had a great like Assassin's Creed has had all of this evolution and then return to form and all of that stuff. And none of those games would exist without Prince of Persia, especially Sands of Time was kind of like the entrance to that. And so I'm excited that modern generations are going to get to play a good Prince of Persia game, because I haven't gotten to play it either, Marcus, so I'm with you. But everything I've seen looks incredible. The art style. I am in like you, Kyle, I know love Switch games. This seems like a Switch game to me. However, it looks like really graphically intense, and so I don't know if I'm going to get it on Switch, just because I'm afraid it may not run well unless we get the Switch 2 this year. That's a whole other thing. But like that might be a PlayStation game for me. But all in all, like it looks really good.
Yeah, it wasn't a stunner. It
Okay.
Politely, like it was. I wasn't like, look at these visuals. It could probably run on Switch pretty well. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, we'll see. You know,
Yeah.
We'll try it out first before we recommend one platform over another. I played it on PC and had a fantastic time.
That's where I played as well. Before we get to The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which drops on January 19th, the day after Prince of Persia, there's another game dropping January 18th that I'm looking forward to. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I think we did an NGT of some kind.
Yeah, it was you and I.
Reeves? Ben Reeves?
I think it was Reeves, yeah.
Yeah. Turnip Boy commits tax evasion, which was a little pixel art Legend of Zelda sort of adventure game. Really fun game. I think it's like really cheap too normally. I think on the Steam sale is like $5. Yeah,
like I played it because of you, Alex, because you were really psyched for it.
Yeah, I just like love those kind of irreverent twists. The art was really good, and it was just like funny. So yeah, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, which I'm curious like how they're gonna keep doing this, but I kind of like just okay, we've got these cool characters that are let's try to like almost like turn this into a franchise, right? Like let's tell these little stories.
Every game has to escalate the crime. So like eventually it has to be Turnip Boy commits murder.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I think so. Because he's already got a gun. So
that is true.
Because he didn't have a gun last time. He had like a little I think he had like a little boomerang thing.
Well, that was just tax evasion. You don't really need a gun for that.
Yeah, now he's got guns.
Yeah, robbing a bank, you probably want a gun.
Yeah. So, and stop me if there's releases that that I'm skipping over that you all are excited for. But I think Last of Us Part 2 Remastered obviously going to be big. PlayStation 5 January 19th. I'm actually going to play this because I never finished Part 2 originally on PS4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I stopped like halfway through right when you switched to Abby.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I missed that whole chunk of the game. So I think I'm just gonna restart and make my way through it.
Yeah, Marcus, you played the new mode, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, it's really fun. I have a whole preview up on the site, the no return kind of roguelike mode. Because I guess that's what Sony does now, is add roguelites to their successful first party games. I said I finished a God of War roguelike over break.
Same.
And that's really good.
I mean, if it's half as worth playing as Ragnarok or Valhalla is, like I will absolutely check in. But I'm guessing there's not a lot of story components.
No. It's
Valhalla,
not.
Right?
Yeah, like it doesn't have the narrative drive. Like it is more of an arcadey. Like, hey, just go in there and mess some things up. Like you get to play as previously non-playable characters. So if you're like, oh, I really like Lev, I get to play as them now. But like other than that, it's not. It's just for funsies, basically.
Last of Us is not a franchise where I look at other characters and I'm like, I want to play as them. You know, it's not like some fantasy franchise where I'm like, oh, I want to try using their powers.
You didn't look at Tommy and be like,
it's just another sad person with a gun. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Like, I bet Tommy shoots a gun real well.
Yeah.
He's extra sad.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Maybe different characters have different aim, and so their reticle size changes, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think I'm ready to replay that campaign, even 3 years later, 3 years plus.
Same.
It's great. I love The Last of Us Part 2, but just even when I think back to everything that happened in that game, and also it's very long, it's like I don't know if I don't think I've recharged that battery yet, I guess. So like I'll probably pass on this for a while.
Just play up until the rope level, the rope puzzle.
I mean, I would like to see the rope stuff again. The rope
on
stuff
PS5
looks nice, and the glass breaking looked really good. I remember. Yeah.
It is when it was announced. It was one of those. It's like, oh yeah, that was a PS4 game, wasn't it? It just felt like a PS5 game when it came out. Was the PlayStation 5 out at that point? Is my
not yet?
No,
it was a few months away.
Okay, so it was like the last sort of big PS4 game, I guess, right?
But they did do a PS5 update to make it like it has like if you play it on PS5, there are some enhancements. I don't remember what they did to it, which is why some people kind of added extra grumbling to like, why are they doing this remaster?
I didn't play it until I had a PS5. I played it during the height of the pandemic, which was maybe not a great time to play it. It kind of the whole tail end of the game ruined me in the best way. Like it was really well done, but like, I'm with like I can't imagine. It's like the Requiem of a Dream version of a game. Like I love that movie, Requiem for a Dream. We'll never watch it again. Like completely devastating movie. And this is the same thing. Like this game is incredible, but I cannot imagine playing it again. But I do like the new mode. It sounds cool. I kind of wish like if you owned it on PS4, there was like a DLC you could buy instead, or a free upgrade instead of buying a whole game.
There is a $10 upgrade.
There is a $10. Oh,
so
cool. All right.
I'd say that's probably worth it for like the roguelike mode and the other stuff like the director's commentary and whatever else they're doing to it. But yeah, I think the roguelike mode's cool for like, because I forgot how well that game played until I played the previews. I was like, oh, this is a good excuse to just go in there and just engage with the combat without crying every 2 seconds through the story.
It's funny, Alex, I hope you're encouraged by the three of us being like, that game hurts too much to play. I don't want to play it again yet. You got to give me a few more years.
Well, the reason I stopped was it was really heavy because it came out in June 2020, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is a lot.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yeah.
And one of my, I mean, I'm not gonna say who, but one of my favorite characters got killed. Not like it was like a side character. And at that point I was like, okay, I'm putting the controller down. And
it only gets worse after that point. So
it doesn't get better, that's for sure. More devastating.
But truly, I mean, honestly, like one of the best stories in video games, period. I know people have a weird relationship with The Last of Us Part 2, but I can't imagine any other game that I've been moved by as much. Like truly, like it's incredible what they pulled off in that game. And I know people concentrate on a few story elements that happen early that they just didn't like, and I just think you have to zoom out and take it for the whole piece and see what they were trying to accomplish and what they did accomplish, which was frankly incredible.
Yeah. I wonder also if this release early in January is to capitalize on the success of the TV show and like, you want to see what season 2 is going to be about? Well, you can play the game. It pretty much follows up. Like I assume there may be some crossover there too. People who maybe even didn't play the first one were like, oh, I'll pick up the second one since I watched the show or something.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it's smart.
Well, let's move on to later in January. Apollo Justice Ace Eternity Trilogy coming out January 25th. And then Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth coming out January 26th. I know everybody here is excited for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the Man Who Erased His Name, the longest title in the existence of video games, was in my top 10 of last year. It was just, it's weird to say last year. I feel like, is it really January? But like, as someone like the opposite of Kyle, first of all, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I hope you play more of the games. But the opposite end of Kyle, where I've played all of the games kind of in a row.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like getting to the end of that game without spoiling it absolutely ruined me emotionally. Like it was such a good ending. And so like now I just can't wait for Infinite Wealth. I love this franchise. I think it's one of RGG has the best track record for video games. Like even their worst game, of the Yakuza games is still a really good game. And so like I can't wait for Infinite Wealth. I like the turn-based stuff. I'm a sucker for a brawler, but like I think if they've improved the system as much as they say they have, the first game, God, the naming and the order of these games is so confusing. Like the first game of the RPGs was good, but pretty basic. And so if they improve that a lot in the sequel, I think it'll probably be my game of the year at the start of the year at this point, because I love the first one of the RPGs so much.
Yeah, I remember playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, the 7th game.
Yes.
I had never played another one because I was like, okay, this is my time. I can get in. And I remember like 5 hours in, and I was like crying, which I am not a crier in video games. I cry at movies occasionally, but like it was just like such a heartfelt moment. Like just like 5 hours into this game, I'm like, what the hell? What's happening? And like that just kind of hooked me. I was like, I really love these characters. They feel really human in the way they're written, and you just want to root for them.
Yeah.
And it's a good show. Or a good movie, or God, a good video game. Jeez.
Oh my God. Almost there. Yeah, I actually started playing Like a Dragon Gaiden yesterday. It was my last sort of break game to check out. I'm on chapter 2 right now. And it's funny because I was listening actually, Kyle, to the Min-Max Awards, or I'm still listening to it. And I was not expecting the ending to be brought up at all for like best moment or whatever. So I actually had to skip past that because I was like hearing you and Jacob Geller gush about it. I was like, oh, okay, you guys are the first two I've heard bring it up as like a big thing. I was like, well, I don't want to hear that, I guess. But
no spoilers for that segment of the Min-Max show that you skipped. But I genuinely, in the moment, just even talking about it, got choked up. Yeah. And that's the first Yakuza game that I've finished, if that says how impactful the end of that game is.
Yeah, and also like the fact that this is your first Yakuza, like you don't have like the history with Kiryu.
I watched my wife play 7, and that's about the extent of my sort of understanding. I tried Yakuza 0 for like an hour, and I was like, this is a lot of talking.
Yeah, and I'm probably in between. Like I've played 0 and beat it and Like a Dragon, but I haven't really played Yakuza 1 through 6 yet. I have found myself missing the turn-based combat, surprisingly, like going back to the brawler stuff, even though I've played 0 and even I've played the Judgment stuff. But I guess I like that turn-based system a lot, where I was like, oh, I kind of wish this was just that a little bit. But I'm slowly getting back into it. But I'm liking it starts really strong, and I'm excited to put some more time into it. I'm like trying to plow through it with Infinite Wealth so close.
Yeah, I'm actually remembering right now that the Steam sale is still going on.
Yeah,
it goes through
a bunch
tomorrow,
of them are on sale.
And I'm really quickly adding Like a Dragon. I was playing it on Xbox. I think I just want to restart on my PC so I can play on my Steam Deck and stuff like that.
So they run really well on Steam Deck. I have a friend who plays them all on Steam Deck. And
okay, awesome. Yeah, I know
he loves how they run.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
That is a significant sale.
It's $11.99 for Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
On Steam Deck, or on Steam rather.
Well, yeah. Steam Deck for me.
Yes. For anyone who has a Steam Deck. Yeah.
Well, same day. Wow, January already. It's gonna be a lot. Tekken 8 also comes out January 26th. Marcus, you excited for this one? I know you're one of our big resident fighting game fans at Game Informer.
Yeah, Tekken is part of the fighting game Triforce for me, with Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Of like they're my big 3 of like I check them all out. I love them. I adore Tekken. I have not gotten to play 8 at all. So I'm psyched to play it, and just it's more Tekken, and just everything I've seen from like the story mode, which Tekken 7 was their first attempt at doing sort of like the NetherRealm style story mode of like making it really cinematic. And I thought it was like a pretty good first start, and just hearing from Brian's preview, because he got to play a bit of it, how like over the top they're getting even for Tekken standards. It sounds like so much fun in just like a super dumb way. Combined with like just the I think the presentation looks great. I don't think that's been talked enough about this game, about like how good it looks just fidelity wise. And then I kind of like that they've scaled the roster back. Like it's 32 fighters at launch. Which
that's
scaling
back.
Well, like Tekken 6 in particular had like a ton of characters on the box.
Yeah.
But I think that can kind of dilute the package a little bit. I kind of like it when you sort of like, because 32 is still big, but it feels a little bit more focused, and especially in terms of the storytelling. So I'm actually like down for that, and I have my favorites in there. So I for selfish reasons, like, well, you hit the ones that I like, so I'm cool with this. But yeah, I'm excited, and the fact that it comes out the same day as Infinite Wealth is like a big thing for me as someone excited for both of those games. So yeah, the 26 is gonna be eating good.
Yeah.
All right.
In the neighborhood. It's an
we are.
Applebee's.
Well, let's move on to February. Kicking off with Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which I know several folks are excited for.
Is that an RPG or is that a fighting game? Is
RPG.
Okay.
So yeah,
Right,
Grand
right.
Blue Fantasy Versus is the fighting part of that series. This
Yeah,
is an RPG.
okay.
Yeah.
Also, One Punch Man World coming out February 1st. Are you excited for that, Kyle?
No,
Okay.
to be
All right.
frank.
I know
mean,
you
like,
I know you did an NGT on it, so I wasn't sure. how that...
just to quickly touch on it, like it looked great in trailers, and I was like, oh, this looks great. Like this looks like an awesome One Punch Man fighting game. And Marcus and I checked out the beginning, but it's a Genshin style free to play. Like I'm good, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, the next day, February 2nd, we got Persona 3 Reload coming out, which I didn't realize up until the Game Awards how extensive like those visual changes were.
Oh yeah,
It's a full remake.
I mean, it's a ground up remake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was blown away. I didn't realize that. And so that instantly shot up my list. I've been wanting to play a Persona game because I have only played 4 and I didn't even beat it. But recently I've been, and I know like Persona 5 is like the one I need to play, but I think I'm going to do Reload, like, because I've heard such good things about Persona 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
Reload. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
No, go ahead, Matt. I don't know Persona very well. It's one that I just my wife is a huge fan, and I sort of see that, and I was Reload might be my sort of entry point, but I know you're like a longtime fan.
So I'm not actually a longtime fan. Funny story is like I tried Persona 5 regular on PS4 and was like, this is fine. But like I feel like we have similarities, Kyle, in the fact that we're RPG fans and RPGs are meant to be handheld for some reason. Like it's not it's not logical. But when I got Reload last November, or Royal rather, too many R's. When I got Royal last November on Switch, I was like, all right, I'll give it another shot. Like friend of the show, Ken Shepard, loves this series. And so I was like, I'll give it another shot. He really loved this game and fell in love with it. Like the day-to-day stuff, all of that was perfect for the Switch to pick up and play. And it took me a year and a month, but just last month, I finally finished Royal. I spent the whole week of break just mainlining the tail end of the game. And like, so now I'm super excited for Reload because not only is it a remake, but it's a ground-up remake in the Royal engine. So like it's the same engine they used for Persona 5, which I remember, I think it was Wes's new gameplay today showing the Switch version and showing how well it ran. And I went, oh my God, this looks amazing. I've got to pick up the Switch version. And so like, it gives me confidence that the Reload will also run well because it's the same engine. And I've heard that Persona 3 story-wise is one of the best in the series. I know a lot of folks who love it. So I'm really excited to jump into it. But like, I'm realizing only recently, Persona is like Final Fantasy in this fact that each game is a different story. And so like, I think Reload is going to bring a lot of folks in, and it's also considered one of the best in the franchise. So I'm really excited to play it.
I mean, it's the game that like established Persona as it is now, because the first 2 were more or less just Shin Megami Tensei spinoffs, and then 3 kind of established its own identity that 4 and 5 kind of have run with. So in a way, it's kind of going to do what it did when it first came out, of bringing people like, or showing people like, hey, this is what Persona is and why it's cool. And, regardless if you're a fan of Shin Megami Tensei or not, this is like, you should pay attention to this because it's doing some pretty cool stuff. I'm excited to check it out eventually. I will say I will feel guilty playing it at launch when I've yet to play Persona 5, even though I tell myself every year that this is going to be the year I'm going to play Persona 5 Royal. So I feel like I'm going to be playing it and be like, why am I not just playing Persona 5 Royal?
The new one. Play the new one. That's technically the old one, but is the new one. Do that.
I guess.
Look forward, sort of, and not backwards. Look sideways, not backwards.
Yeah, some good Willy Wonka logic.
Yeah. That's another one I just wish listed while we were talking about it.
Nice.
Super stoked for Persona 3 Reload. I've been wanting to play a big RPG again, and I think it's time. I think I'm ready. Same day, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League comes out. I'm actually kind of excited to play this. I want to see what happens.
I do not like live service games, right? Like the Destinies of the world, the Remnants of the world, just not my genre. But I love Rocksteady enough that I this, like, if you put Suicide Squad and Persona in front of me, I'm gonna play Suicide Squad just out of like pure curiosity. Like after playing Spider-Man 2 this year, I talked about this on a previous episode, but like I went back and played Arkham Knight for a few hours, and I got the Arkham collection on Switch over the break, and I played like a few hours of Arkham City, and like I love those games and think they're like genuinely, even separate of the license, like some of the best games ever. Like some of my favorite combat, some of my favorite design, and like just from that sort of legacy alone, and knowing that it takes place like in the Arkham universe is like enough for me to be like, all right, Rocksteady, I want to see what this thing is. Like I've been so confused about it. It does feel like a directive from corporate to be like, you need to make this style of game. And my hope is that Rocksteady, you know, and this is me just making assumptions, right? I don't want to like claim that I know exactly why they made this game or anything like that. But my hope is like, yes, there is that sort of monetized portion of the game, but what I want for what I hope is also there is just a really strong single player story driven game with fun characters in a universe that I really love, from like some of the best designers, period, honestly, in my opinion. Like I think Rocksteady has made some of the best games ever, period. So like I really want to see what that game is, but I'm also fully open to the fact that I could be like 2 or 3 hours into this game and be like, this isn't working for me. Like I recognize that may absolutely happen. I don't want it to, but it could totally be the case.
I'm with you. Like I really love the way that they tell stories in the Batman universe, and you know, even just like watching some of those extended trailers, some of that extended gameplay they've shown off, that like showed off the cutscenes and stuff, like seeing the way that like they, like the Flash is like just like this really scary dude, like in this version, like has me like, I've been kind of like on the edge of my seat a little bit, like, oh, what are they gonna do? And I also think the traversal looks fun in the game.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
I mean, it's got that Crackdown vibe that's
exactly,
going for, which to me is a positive.
Flying leaps and stuff like that. Like I love that kind of stuff.
Totally. I'm assuming none of us looked up any of the leaks for the story that
I haven't,
went out, right? Okay, I haven't either. I just was wondering, like, does anyone know something that other people don't on this call, or has seen any of the reactions to the to what's gotten out?
No, yeah, I don't want to know. I want it to happen in real time, because like I do get super engaged by Rocksteady stories. Like they're comic book stories, admittedly. You know, I'm not feeling the same emotions I'm feeling when I'm playing The Last of Us Part 2, but like I always want to see what happens next. You know, like I am very interested, and I'm hopeful that Suicide Squad will have that element and kind of surprise us, where it's like you're gonna want to see what happens next.
Yeah. I'm with all of you on that. Like I also recently replayed the Arkham series. I felt the itch, and I'd never played Origins, and Origins is incredible and so underrated. Like I think with what they had to work with new voice actors and a different kind of story and a prequel story, it's still really fantastic. I'm curious, how does the Arkham collection run on Switch? It seems like it would run fine because it's a 360 game.
Right. So I played City exclusively, and it was solid. Right, it's not running at 60, but it's like it's solid. And then what I've seen of Arkham Knight from other folks has been like, stay away. Like, don't.
That makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense to me. But even
I haven't touched it, to be clear. I haven't. Because I stayed away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Arkham Asylum is my favorite in the trilogy just because it's so close to a Metroidvania. It's such a tight experience, and I feel like that'll run perfectly on Switch, so I could buy the whole collection just for that. But I'm with you. Like, I love their storytelling. I think it's some of the best depictions of these villains and characters. Also, I want to play Kill the Justice League just because it's Kevin Conroy's last role, right? Like, it's a big deal to me. I grew up with Kevin Conroy. He's my voice of Batman. And so, like, for him to reprise that role so much later after he's passed, because they, of course, recorded those lines so long ago, like, that's exciting for me to get to see his last version of Batman and what that's like as like a villain sort of a thing. So yeah, I like Destiny. I go off and on with. I love their storytelling, but I'm like you guys, like I can't keep up with live service stuff. I already have enough jobs that are like games that are like jobs. I don't want a game that's like a job. And so if this can like differentiate itself from the live service stuff enough that like the story is solid and the gameplay is solid, that could be enough for me. But I have to imagine the story is solid regardless of anything else, because Rocksteady never misses when it comes to story. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I wonder how much, because I don't think it's, and this is me like maybe not being totally aware, but I don't know if it's as much of a live service game as people make it out to be, because it's like it's always online, even if you're playing single player, and then it's got a battle pass that only has optional cosmetics, and that's like it. So I think beyond that though, I don't think it's as much of a life servicey thing as even like Destiny is, because it's like, what do you do after the, like, I'm curious to see like when you beat that campaign, what do they do to make you want to keep playing in that world? Like once you have killed the Justice League, maybe like, then what? It's like, are there events where it's like, all right, now fix Metropolis?
I mean, the thing that sort of scares me away more than the microtransaction stuff, because you're right, Marcus, like they haven't shown a lot of that stuff, and when people reacted so poorly to it, they kind of retreated into a hole and did something. I don't know what they've been doing for the last few months in response to that, but it seemed like they were sort of receding to be like, we're gonna address some things here.
They said it would be more bug and polish stuff. Like it wasn't like we're gonna take this stuff out.
But the thing that sort of, more so than that, the thing that kind of makes me like raise an eyebrow is just looking at the gameplay. I mean, it's a shooter, you're fighting waves of enemies and stuff like that. We'll see, but that's the thing that sort of is less interesting to me. It's like is that there's like you're in a big arena, there's like 3 other real life players with you, and you're fighting waves of enemies. It's like, I don't love that. You
got to deal with loot. Like, okay, let me see what chess piece I'm going to put on Harley Quinn. Is this better than what she has?
but I'm going in optimistic. I'm going in with like, I want this to be good, and I hope it is.
Same.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, up next, Helldivers 2. Just want to shout that out. Really cool.
Alex, by the way, before you move on, I'm gonna duck out for this episode. I've got a previous engagement. So Matt, it's great to podcast with you. Even
too.
Quickly.
Yeah.
And Alex and Marcus, you guys are all right, I guess.
Yeah. Kyle, what's your most anticipated game of 2024?
Oh, geez, good question.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
honestly,
you said in the last episode, actually.
What did I say? I don't remember.
Was it Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy?
Oh, actually, no. I think you said Prince of Persia.
I mean, it probably, because it's so close. I can taste it. It's
I think you said Prince.
Yeah, and I am sort of taking this opportunity to. This is going to be my prop. If Gaiden, the Man Who Erased His Name, was like dipping my toe in, Like a Dragon 8 is going to be like, let's go. Let's jump into the deep end. Let's do it.
Nice.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that experience. But yeah, beyond that, it's a lot of vague stuff that like is tough to pinpoint, that I don't know if I have like a singular with a bullet one that I'm really excited about. Because like a lot of the games that I'm really excited about are ones that are just sort of still kind of vague, like Hellblade 2 and stuff like that, and like Fable. Like I don't really know when that's going to exist. All the Kojima stuff in general. So yeah, tough to pick one specifically. But yeah, like in terms of like the things I can see in front of me, like Prince of Persia, I feel like it got taken away from me. I played from the beginning. I played the first 3 hours, and I'm like, that's not fair. You guys can't do this to me. So
give me your game back.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get back to that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you later, Kyle.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
We're gonna keep going. Kyle's gonna stand up and he's gonna leave us behind.
Well, actually, I'm going to export this audio, so I'll sit here for a second.
Okay.
That's fair.
I was hoping he would.
I appreciate that. As the editor, I appreciate that you're doing that.
It'd be cool if Kyle threw like a smoke bomb and then
Like just vanish like a ninja.
Yeah.
I do like
It would be impressive.
That's a good idea. Well, let's keep going while we watch Kyle export his audio.
Very awkwardly leave.
Up next, I want to call out Plate Up. It's coming out February 15th.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that,
I
real quick, I don't know if you've seen this game, but Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore.
No, I haven't heard of this.
It's a game that is directly inspired by the CDI Zelda games.
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah, I saw
Oh.
the trailers for this. I do want to play this. Yeah, it's what if the CDI games were good? Like it's the same graphic style and
Oh, the
weird
developers literally
animation.
called-
We're assuming that this game will be good. Also, I guess we
Well,
don't
right,
know,
yeah.
but yeah.
That's the
The-
pitch, though. That's
The
the pitch.
developer is
Yeah.
called CDI Software. Like
Yeah.
But if you-
CDI.
Yeah.
If you look it up, it's got the weird animation, like the cutscenes from those Zelda games. Like if you ever look up the CDI Zelda games, like Wand of Gamelon or whatever they're called, and they're notorious for like the really creepy, like poorly animated cutscenes. Like this game emulates that with their cutscenes, and then the in-game stuff is pretty much almost directly like the same as the CDI games, but I guess plays better, presumably.
The pitch is like side scroller, but like better controls, better combat kind of a thing.
Pizza.
Better pizza. Yeah.
Yes, important. But yeah, that comes out on Valentine's Day. I just wanted to shout that out. It's just like a cool like oddity that is happening that I wanna try out.
Yeah, totally.
Well, after you clean up the dishes on Valentine's Day, you can go to bed and wake up, and there will be a new dish waiting for you on February 15th.
Wait, how did that happen?
Plate Up. Plate Up. I've been playing this. I started playing it last in 2023 on PC. It's it's like a an Overcooked style game, but you're managing like front of house, back of house, kitchen. You're really like designing the restaurant, where you're putting the tables, and unlocking like new contraptions to help you run your restaurant more efficiently. It's up to I think 4-player co-op. I've been playing it with some friends throughout the year, and it's a lot of fun. That's coming to like consoles February 15th. So very much recommend it. I almost put it on my top 10 actually this past 2023, but it came out in 2022, so I didn't. But I very much recommend that one. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Anybody here excited for that? I feel like Matt, you might be.
I really like. Oh, we've had a Korok join us. Hello,
Yeah.
little friend. Awesome.
We need to send that thing to space or something.
Yeah, right. Attach a rocket to it. So I liked the original. I think it was on the DS. I think it was a DS game. It's hard to remember. But like, I don't know that this needed a remake. It was a fun little puzzle game. I don't know if I'm going to pick up this one day one. I like the Mario vs. Donkey Kong puzzle games. There's been a few, but I don't know if I'm going to jump into this day one, but it is something that will be on my short list for like Switch games that I want. There's a Switch game that comes out next month that I'm more excited for. It's a new thing, but yeah, I mean, it looks like a really good remake. I don't know how it controls, but like the graphics, it's got a nice little upgrade and stuff. So I mean, I think for those who've never played them, it'll be a great way to jump into the series for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I've never played them. I think I always was curious about them. Like I would read reviews for every one of them, but I always remember they would always get like middling-ish reviews, or like, oh, it's good, but like not enough for me to go out and try it. So I'm looking at this sort of remake as like, okay, I think I'm finally gonna, as a big Mario and Donkey Kong fan, this is maybe the biggest like sub series that I just have not touched at all from those characters. So I think I'm gonna dive in with this one, assuming it's good, I guess. But
Yeah. Another game that we're assuming is going to be great. Skull and Bones comes out.
Are we?
No,
Are we?
We're not. We're not.
I mean,
it's
I
finally
played
coming
it.
out at least. We'll
We'll see. I won't believe it till I see it.
Yeah, February 16th.
I mean, what can you say about this game? I mean, this was what, the umpteenth delay because it was supposed to come out it was dated last year. It was supposed to come out like
in your
fall.
Didn't you have the date in your cover story originally?
We did, or it got dated right after the cover story.
Okay.
But it was like close.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was dated for like, I don't remember, like fallish or something, and then it got pushed. So like that's why I'm saying like, yeah, it's got a date, but it did before, so I'll believe it when I see it. It feels like this is like the Microsoft Activision acquisition of like, I'll be glad to not talk about this game anymore once it comes out.
Like it'll be
like we're finally under the side, and unless it winds up being amazing, like I feel like if it like that's the biggest story, right? Like this comes out and it's like, holy crap, this is one of the best games ever. Because if it comes out, I feel like everyone's expecting it to be at best average. Right. If I'm taking the temperature of the industry, everyone's like, okay, it's gonna come out, we're gonna play it, we're gonna be like, and then move on and forget this thing existed. But like if it comes out and is good, then it's then we talk about it for like another year or so, right? Played it. Have you either gotten to play like any of the closed betas or stuff?
I've had no interest.
Okay, I had to play it just because it was honestly vindication. Because I think my first E3, or either my first or my second, was like when they first announced it, and they had it playable on the show floor, and I remember watching it, but like not getting a line to play it, and for some reason that's haunted me. Because back when this game seemed like vaporware, I was like, man, I wish I had played it just to say that I played Skull and Bones at some point. So when that beta came out, I was like, okay, I have to play this to see if this is a real game, and it was like fine, like it plays fine. That's all I can say. Like it's like enjoyable to an extent, but it didn't like blow my socks off. But it's also like the early game, so who knows? So like I don't know, based on what I played, what else the game could do to put it over that level, because it almost felt like the game showed its hand early of like, yeah, you pilot ships, you blow up other ships in a big open ocean, and then sometimes you land on islands and run around, but largely you're in a ship, and it's not like Sea of Thieves style where like, you're controlling individual actors, like you're just steering. It's basically like driving a car with a gun. Like like honestly, it may as well be open world Twisted Metal, but with boats, because you're just driving a boat that has guns and you're just shooting at the other boats that have guns.
I mean, that's sort of an optimistic pitch,
but it's also like you're controlling a boat, so you're not like, it's not as maybe moment to moment fun in terms of like a high speed kind of a way. You're like, well, I gotta better drop these sails so I can turn around this island and not crash into the rocks. but it is more arcadey than maybe people might assume it is. But yeah, is it weird to say like I don't want to be the person that reviews it, but but I also want to know how it is when it comes out. But is anyone else either you two gonna be rushing to check this out?
No.
You guys want to exercise that ghost?
No, I like it. It looks like I like the idea of it, but I don't know. I don't like vehicle combat games as much as I used to. I find driving in games actually to be kind of onerous. It's why I've liked a lot of the superhero games where you can kind of web swing or glide or whatever else, like non-traditional traversal. But also, I don't know, just it's one of those games where like, of all the games coming out in February, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the biggest one yet at the end of the month. Like, I'm not spending the $60 on this one. It's just, I think.
This is a weird question, but would either of you have pegged Skull and Bones to come out before Beyond Good and Evil 2? Because they were announced around the same time.
Originally, no, but now, yes. Because Beyond Good and Evil 2 is never coming out. But originally, I don't know that I would have pegged it that way. But here we are.
Maybe we'll get a Beyond Good and Evil team, because they're still working on it.
Yeah. I
mean, allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, when we went for our Assassin's Creed Mirage cover story, it was like, here's this team's here, and also there's some people are working on, Beyond Good and Evil 2 here, that kind of thing. Like, they've still got developers on it.
The one person is modeling Page to Pig.
Yeah,
exactly.
Somewhere.
Yeah. Man, what a weird campaign too. They had that whole, was it like press record campaign or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
With, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. Woof.
You think he knows if the game's still being worked on?
No, he has no idea.
Should we be reaching out to him?
Yeah. Right, get him on the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on with that, man?
Yeah. I promised I'm not bored. I didn't sleep very well last night. I was up playing World of Warcraft Classic way too late, and then then I was like, oh yeah, I'm not on break anymore. I have to actually wake up and go to work.
Yeah, but honestly, not to sound overly, I hope Skull and Bones is good. I hope all video games are good. I'm not like rooting for this game to fail. It's just that with everything that's happened, it's hard not to be skeptical or even maybe a realist to some degree.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. I want every game I don't play to be bad.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. You're the true villain of the podcast, Alex. Everyone knows it.
Yeah. I root for people's livelihoods to be crushed.
Yeah.
Real quick, on February 22nd, I do want to shout out Nightingale. It's a shared world survival crafting game that I'm really looking forward to. It's got a lot of horror elements to it. Not so much as like Sons of the Forest, which also hits 1.0 later in February. On the same day, actually, Sons of the Forest hits 1.0, another multiplayer crafting game.
I think we put it, I don't know if you just said it, but this is the early access launch for
Correct.
Nightingale.
Yeah.
Not the full launch.
Yeah. So Nightingale will be hitting early access February 22nd. Kind of like I don't necessarily love the theme of it. Like the like colonial requisition, like sort of that sort of vibe to it. But like a lot of the monsters and like the way that they've integrated like almost like steampunk adjacent, like not steampunk, but like they've got like giant like what are those things called, blimps and stuff in the sky,
like a zeppelin.
Zeppelin. I'm excited to see how that stuff plays and like how that interacts with like the crafting system and stuff. But yeah, I'm interested in that game. I want to see what it does. Like I said, same day, Sons of the Forest, it's 1.0.
I want to shout out Open Roads too, which is another long lost game. That's the I guess they're not Fulbright technically anymore.
Yeah,
but it's like, or at least that team that is working on Open Roads is not.
It's now they're just called Open Roads Team.
Yeah. That's a game that was announced at the Game Awards, like I think 2020 or something like that. But that the sort of like narrative adventure with the mother and daughter on a road trip and bonding and doing mother-daughter stuff that looks cool. Like I've enjoyed Fulbright still. Like I liked Gone Home and I liked Tacoma. So I've had my eye on this one. Obviously the stuff with Steve Gaynor and all that stuff has thrown a huge monkey wrench into this game's development, which is why it's taken as long as it has.
I actually recommend Kim Wallace. While she still worked here, had a great feature that went up July 2022. It's called A New Destination: How Open Roads Changed Direction and Saved Its Turbulent Road Trip. And Kim talked to the remaining folks at Fulbright about how they kind of coped with the controversy surrounding the studio after the co-founder Steve Gaynor stepped down after toxic workplace allegations. I recommend that feature by Kim. Really worth reading.
Yeah, I feel like this game also, because it got a release date, but that first trailer, or the most recent one that announced release date, I think that was like the second ever trailer for it outside of the announcement. So I feel like I still don't have a sense of like what the game is moment to moment outside of the narrative premise, which is, I guess, kind of exciting, but then also just kind of like, I don't know if worrying the word I want to use. It just feels like I should know a little bit more about what the game is now that it's this close. But I'm gonna play it just again because I've enjoyed the studio's previous works. But yeah, I just wanted to call that out since that's one was in danger of almost never seeing the light of day. It seemed like.
Yeah, totally.
I do really also. These are all the same day, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe my most anticipated game of the year also comes out February 22nd. It's up there. And I've played this, Pacific Drive.
Yes.
Which is the vehicle-based survival game, like crafting survival game. And
what a cool premise.
It's so good. I played it at PAX East last year, and I was already like really looking forward to it. And I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
remember you were telling all of us at East, like, you've got to go play this game. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredible. Like, you were really psyched on it. So I've watched a lot of videos on it. It looks really cool. It does really look like a cool idea.
Yeah, like you control like you're driving a station wagon in like the Pacific Northwest, like Washington State, it looks like, and like all this weird supernatural stuff is happening, and like you have to like drive your station wagon through this forest, but you have to upgrade the station wagon. Like it's got a bit of the you guys play like Far Lone Sales or like the sequel for it's like you and your vehicle, it's kind of the two characters and you're just upgrading your vehicle to get you over all these obstacles. It's kind of got that vibe, but like if it was first person, but then also spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks really neat. Yeah, I didn't get to play it at PAX, but I've watched a lot of like previews and stuff, and it does seem like a really cool idea. It's one of those games that like I wouldn't necessarily have thought to play it, but then after seeing other people hype it up, I'm like, oh, this could be like a new thing to try. I was just talking about how I don't really love driving vehicles, but this seems to like really make it important in a way that'll be really interesting as opposed to just driving around a city like in a Grand Theft Auto or something.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I highly recommend people wishlist this one. I was really stunned by it. Really good game. A really good preview, I should say. Jury's still out on full thing, but man, we're almost through February. Jeez,
it's the most stacked month so far.
It is, yeah.
February 28th, we've got Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake, which was announced at the Game Awards, which is looking pretty good because I never played the first one, the first version.
Me neither.
Oh, yeah. Really? It's really good.
Yeah, I think
it's another game where it's like, I think I will replay this one, but it's another game like Last of Us where it gets really heavy and it ends on a heavy note where it's like, okay, I think, but it's been 10 years. Like I think enough time's passed where I'm ready to get back in there and do this again. I'm most curious about the 2-player co-op because the unique thing about that game was that you played as the two brothers, but it was a single player game where each brother was controlled by one of the analog sticks. So you were steering them simultaneously to solve all these interesting puzzles. And now they're doing a thing that I think a lot of people thought the game would be 10 years ago of like, oh, you could just play co-op and have somebody just control a brother, which I kind of want to try. But I wonder if that'll take away from the experience a little bit. But I mean, probably not. It's just such a weird thing of like, oh, they're actually treating it like a regular co-op game now.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to play that thing. And I've heard so many good things about the original. And it was always on my list of things to play, and I just, there's just so much to do. So I'm excited to try to check that out. Same day, Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered comes out. Probably gonna skip that one, but I do look back on like that era of Star Wars games fondly.
Yeah, I mean, I love the original game. I haven't played it in a very long time.
It was N64, right?
Yeah,
NPC.
Yes. And PC, yeah, it was N64 and PC. Like, I mean, I've loved all of the re-releases. I played KOTOR for the first time last year or 2 years ago on the Switch, and it was great.
And shout out to Night Dive, Night Dive Studios, who's been killing it with these remasters.
So, like, I'm glad more people get to play it. I don't know that I'll get it the day it comes out, but I'll probably eventually make the Switch my Star Wars machine and just pick up another one of these great remasters on it. Yeah.
All right. Next one, probably collectively amongst the Game Informer audience as I know it, as I understand it, this is probably the most anticipated game of the year. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hits PlayStation 5 on February 29th.
Our cover story.
Our current cover story. We've got so much stuff over at GameInformer.com/FF7 Rebirth, I believe. I'm double checking the URL. That is correct. We got Brian put up so many stories over the holiday break. He talked to them. A lot of interviews. I can say I was in the room with him for all the interviews. We talked to them about so much stuff, and I know we ran through it a couple episodes ago, but I would really recommend going because Brian's a Final Fantasy sicko. And he's got some great stuff up on the website. A lot of interviews and pullouts talking about Cat Cheese Combat or Kate Sith.
Not doing this again.
Yeah,
we did this so many years ago. It's like Eris and Aerith. Like I've had enough.
It's
of this
catchy.
game and its names.
I don't know that tweet that Square sent.
Yeah, stay tuned for our rapid fire because we asked that question. Although I think I
Nice.
already said the results of that on a couple episodes ago. About how they're handling the big Aerith scene, and like obviously they're not telling us everything, but a lot of the philosophy behind it and all that kind of stuff. So go check all of that stuff out if you want to learn more about Rebirth. But I want to hear from you two. I assume you're looking forward to it.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is until recently was my favorite Final Fantasy game of all time. 9 beat it when I played it on the Switch a few years back and blew me away. But 7 is still one of my favorites. I'm happy that my boyfriend comes back. Vincent is in this part 2, and he's one of my favorite video game characters. I'm cautiously optimistic about all of it. Like, I loved Remake. I loved that they changed the story. I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything, but I love that it's like, what if we tweaked the timeline a bit? What if we made this not what you expected? And like, I love that kind of storytelling. Like, I love when things get timey-wimey. I'm a big Doctor Who fan. And so like when things kind of don't go the same route that they used to, I like that that's the whole big hook of this, is that yes, we're remaking one of your favorite games from your childhood. We're also remaking it. We're changing it. And like, I had friends who bristled up against the changes, but I think it's brilliant. I don't want to re-experience the same story again. I want something new. And they're also like this, like all of the other worlds, multiverse stuff. Like, I love all of that stuff too. And knowing that this could exist in the same world, and also like a lot of remakes, it gives you a reason to play both versions, right? And so I'm really excited for this. I'm curious where it'll end, because like the ending was pretty clear and they were pretty open about it with the first one, right? That it's going to end when you leave Midgar. Like, we pretty much knew that by the time the game came out. I have no idea where this ends. Did this end in the City of Ancients? Do we go beyond that?
They did
say that.
Yep.
Excellent. So then, like, it's so weird to talk about a game that's so old, and yet I still don't want to spoil stuff. But like, I'm just curious how they handle the City of Ancients, right? Because like, anything they do will upset someone, and yet I'm here for all of it. Like, make it as weird as possible or as different as possible, in my opinion. But I'm curious. Also, if it's the same as 7, then it's another game that Marcus and I feel will be crying to probably.
It's going to be worse this time because now the characters are fully voiced and have like better established personalities, so I like them more.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know what else I could say about this game that I haven't said already, other than just like, I'm super excited for it. I too love Final Fantasy VII. I really liked Remake for the same reasons that Matt just mentioned. I like that they're taking chances and taking swings. Is like, if I wanted that story again, I'll just replay 7. So like, get wild. See, you know, not every change is probably going to hit, but I appreciate that they're doing stuff, and I just want to know what Zach's doing there. That's my biggest question mark. Like, what is that all about?
I have a theory that I'll share with you guys off air, just because I don't want to throw it out into the world, because it relies on the spoilers of actual 7. But like, I have some theories of what might happen there, just because I think it'd be wild to do. But yeah, I agree, Marcus. I think this is going to be. It may not be my game of the year, but it's definitely going to be up there as like one of my most anticipated for sure.
The only thing I'm stressed about is trying to get through what will likely be a giant game in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth before this other giant RPG comes out.
Correct. There are too many. There are so many giant RPGs with dates already in 2024. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, especially if you're also
and Persona
planning.
3.
Yeah.
Reload.
Yep, and one we haven't gotten to yet that is my game of the year already. I've decided. So like,
preemptively, yes.
Preemptively, yes.
Well, let's get into March, because I think I might be as excited for March as I am February.
Yeah.
Based on what's coming out. March 5th, the Outlast Trials comes out. If you're looking forward to that. March 7th, As Dusk Falls comes out, which we reviewed back in when did we review that?
It was 2021.
2022
when it came out, or 2022. Was it last year? Oh, okay, I guess now that it's a new year, time is weird.
I know. Yeah,
everything gets pushed back a year.
But it's coming to PlayStation consoles.
Yeah. Are you just calling that out because you're the star of the game?
Yeah, I gotta get my residuals. You know.
Yeah,
my royalties.
It is a good game. I did like it.
I've never played it.
What?
No, I never played it. And to be clear for new listeners, I am not actually in the game, but the
No.
main character looks like me.
It broke our group chat, like literally
scarily
lost
so.
our minds.
Yeah. It is not me. I don't know the person, but wow, is he handsome. Unicorn Overlord comes out March 8th.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Looks really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
I like Vanillaware.
yeah. Devs behind 13 Sentinels. In Dragon's Crown and all that, but it looks really cool. I mean, it's got that Vanillaware really gorgeous art style. Again, I don't know how we're gonna play this on top of all the other RPGs coming out. But
Best title of 2020.
I actually like the title. Yeah,
It's a good title. Yeah.
Unicorn
it's pretty...
Overlord. It's like, all right, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know what else to say other than that. Outcast: A New Beginning. I thought that said Outlast for a second. That's why I called it out. It's THQ Nordic joint. Don't know much about it, but I guess.
Did you do the thing where when you go out and you think you see your friend and you wave to them and then you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not my friend, and I gotta pretend that I care about this person.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Poor Outcast.
Does anybody care about Alone in the Dark (2024)?
No.
Yeah, to be fair, that's not the title. When I made the SKU, they already rebooted Alone in the Dark in 2008, so you can't just call it Alone in the Dark.
There's 3 Alone in the Dark games that are just called Alone in the Dark. The original, then the remake, the previous remake, and now this one. So yeah,
which I guess they're billing as a reimagining. They're, I guess, in the Final Fantasy remake style of it is retelling that first game's story and in the same settings, but it's a third person. Like it's Resident Evil 4 style, like third person over the shoulder survival horror. Because for those that don't know, Alone in the Dark, one of the forefathers of survival horror pre-Resident Evil, actually established quite a few of the conventions that Resident Evil then took and ran with. But it's also got some celebrity juice with David Harbour and oh lord, the female lead. Her name just escaped me, but. David Harbour of Stranger Things fame is one of the dual protagonists, and I got to preview it last year, and it looks like it could be cool. As someone that has never played Alone in the Dark, but has always respected its legacy, this seems like a good way to sort of experience that first game in a modernized way. I hope it's as good as it looks. Like, I do have my eye on it. Just as a survival horror fan.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably my actual most anticipated game, I think. Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out on March 22nd.
This is my preemptive game of the year. I, like many sickos during the era of Waypoint and the word of Austin Walker and Patrick Klepek, constantly talking about this game, and then Wout of the hashtagonist fame on Twitter, all never shut up about that first game. And so when it finally came to Switch, I played it and I drank the Kool-Aid. I loved it. Was one of my favorite games that year. It's one of my favorite RPGs ever made. And when we finally got an announcement for this sequel, I lost it. I'm so ready to go back to this world and style of gameplay. All of the trailers look dope. All of the gameplay looks
It's in
great.
that RE engine as well.
Yeah. And the pawn system
gorgeous.
The pawn system is one of the coolest RPG systems for companions and stuff. And I can't wait. And you could get up to some stuff in that original game. And so I'm really curious what they can pull off in this new one. It seems unlikely that it'll be bad considering the pedigree, but I'm so stoked for it. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Action
I've never
RPG.
played the first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never played the first, and it's one of my biggest piles of shame games. I remember playing the demo when it first came out, and I'm like, oh, this seems cool. You're climbing on this weird griffin thing and stabbing it. But then just never got to it. I have the Dark Arisen version of it on Switch.
That's the one I played, yeah.
And I've always looked at it as okay, this will be the one I play, and maybe I'll still fire it up before this comes out. But that seems unlikely. But I'm glad that this will realistically, this will be my first jump into Dragon's Dogma, which I've always looked at it as an admirer from afar. That seems like something I would 100% be down with if I had the time. everything I've seen of it looks cool, and as someone that like cares about story a lot, I'm glad that this isn't necessarily a story sequel. Like from what I understanding, it's like running parallel to the first game's story. So I don't maybe need to be as caught up on Dragon's Dogma lore, though. Though, Matt, like, does Dragon Dogma have a good story? I never hear anyone talk about the story, just how cool combat in the world is, but no one ever goes like, man, what a great story.
Isn't it like kind of like it's all about like the player emergent, right? Like there's a lot of
yeah. Is it good?
I mean, I like the story. It's fairly typical fantasy, I think, but like the major beats, like how dragons are these kind of evil creatures that manipulate people, and how it's not a spoiler, but the dragon takes your heart early in the game and turns you into this like risen, this being that's like fighting to get effectively his soul back. But I think it's the smaller narratives that are really interesting. Like the fetch quests are really like, it's an interesting world to be steeped in a similar way that like Skyrim back in the day, like the overall story of Skyrim is fine. It's cool, but like it's the moment to moment stuff that really made that world sing. Same with like Fable and some other games like it. And I think this is another one of those kinds of games where the overarching story is really cool in confronting the dragon and all of that stuff. And even stuff that happens after credits, there's like a whole other section, like post game story that's all really cool. But I think it's mostly the world and being in the world that makes it really interesting. I'm curious to see how the narrative is in this one, because it's been so many years since, if it'll be more at the forefront or if it'll still kind of be the world is the story and you're just kind of moving through it.
Okay. I was wondering if I was like missing something there.
No, I don't think it's not the same kind of like deep narrative that you would get from like some of the best written stories, but I think that's not the point of a game like this. It's the adventure, it's the kind of journey part of it that's, I think, the big pull. At least that's how I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited. Man, I was looking at trailers while we were talking, and I've heard hasn't there been a round of previews for the game already?
Like hands on?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I kept up as much, so you might be right.
I don't want to speak out of turn and bust somebody's embargo. I think people have played that and enjoyed it, but I'm not sure. No, I don't. I have no idea. But it seems like folks are just super excited. Princess Peach Showtime, March 22nd. Switch.
Yeah, same day.
Oh God.
One of 3 big games coming out the 22nd.
Yeah. I mean, we really don't know much about this game yet, right? I mean, it was previously.
It looks cool.
It looks cool. Yeah.
It's unclear what the moment-to-moment gameplay is, but clearly you're like putting on costumes is almost like putting on jobs to like do different things.
Yeah, all set within like this theater stage package.
It's got y'all remember Puppeteer, that platformer from like 2013 on PlayStation?
Yeah.
It's kind of what it reminds me of a little bit. Yeah,
it's got that vibe. Yeah, it I think it's a platformer. But like, I'm just happy that like we're getting a new franchise, a new IP for Princess Peach. Super Princess Peach was such a bad game. I'll refrain from bad language, but like you controlled her by controlling her emotions. We control women by their it's so dumb. And like
I thought it was a good platformer with a bad premise of like mechanically this is fine. It's just the way you presented it is not great.
But like this one, like it gives Princess Peach agency, which she had also in Super Mario RPG, which just got a remake. Like it shows her as the adventurer. She's kind of always been in the background of a lot of games, and like I'm really excited to see something different. Luigi's Mansion to this day is one of my favorite Nintendo properties ever, and it was also a gamble by giving Luigi his own debut game on the GameCube. Like, who wants to play as Luigi? Me. I want to play as Luigi. And this seems like it's going to be another one of those where like they could launch a whole nother franchise. And even if it's a one-off, like I'm glad that other Nintendo character, like Yoshi's had his own games, Wario, of course. Like I'm glad that Princess Peach is finally getting another game of her own, and that it seems like it's going to be something really cool.
My fear / suspicion is that this is going to be the Captain Toad treasure tracker of the Switch.
Yeah.
Of like they took a character
So a
and
really
made a
awesome
really
game.
Cool... No, that's what I'm saying. Like I love Cap.
Where is it?
I'm one of the biggest Captain Toad fans out there. When I see him in other Mario games, I get so happy and then sad because it's like you should have had like 2 more games by now.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm wondering, like, is this like going to be that of like this comes out, it's really cool and inventive, and then we never get another one?
Right. Yeah, that's always the worry about Nintendo. I'm still waiting for a new Wario platformer. Yeah, there it is.
I recently was playing it
This
again.
is the Switch version.
Yeah. Captain Toad is
See,
great.
I played on the Wii U. I was an OG.
You're an
Just
OG.
saying. Yeah.
You were one of the 3 people who had a Wii U. So
Yes, I bought in.
But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, Marcus. I agree. It could just be a one-off, but still, like if it's a fun one-off, it'll be worth revisiting. But yeah, I am curious what the moment-to-moment gameplay is. If it's a straight-up platformer or if it's like more puzzly. I get the vibe that it might be more puzzly, but I don't know. Like it Nintendo rarely misses with flagship stuff like this, so I'm optimistic, but I am still really curious about exactly what it is. But I can't wait for it.
You think Mario is kidnapped in this game? We haven't really seen what the goal is. Like, what is she after, or who she's
There's like a new villain and stuff, but yeah, they haven't said. I mean, that's the only thing I hope it's not, because like Luigi's Mansion, Mario is captured. Like, so now Princess Peach, Mario's captured. Like, it can just be about the character. It doesn't have to. We don't have to be rescuing another character in the universe.
People got to stop getting captured.
I mean, that's really the problem here. Yeah.
Same day, Rise of the Ronin comes out.
Yep.
Yes.
Which I know a lot of folks are looking forward to.
Yeah, in our upcoming issue, I have a preview about that game where I got to talk to Team Ninja about it. I'm more excited about that game after that preview. Now to know more about it, because they announced it before Wulong came out, and it was kind of surprising. We're like, they were pushing Wulong's like, oh, we're doing like our next sort of Neo game, and then also we got this other big action game, but that's gonna be like way further down the line. Don't worry about it, but it looks cool. What I like about this is that it's a much more grounded game than what they're doing with Wulong. Like Wulong and Neo are a lot more fantastical, like you're like summoning spirits and there's like demons and stuff. Whereas this is them doing sort of like a historical like drama where it's set in the Bakumatsu period of like that transition from like the waning years of like feudal Japan, like after, Commander Perry in the US came and basically ended Japan's centuries long of isolation, and then that influx of Western culture came in, and it was like this very turbulent period of sort of restructuring that led eventually to the Meiji Restoration and then into the empire that Japan became, like more westernized empire. It's set like in one of those years where it's a lot of like turmoil across the country, like politically and societally, and you're playing this like Ronin who for somehow is kind of tied up in the larger like intrigue of everything. But it's their first open world game, because like Neo and Wulong are more open hubs, but they're doing like this is more or less their Elden Ring. Like, you got this a sizable chunk of Japan. You can travel via like horseback, or you got
so
that.
It's like an open world.
It's straight up open world, like seamless open world, instead of like the hubs that they've done with the other the Neo game stuff. I know it's got like 3 major cities that you're gonna visit.
Yeah, Yokohama, Kyoto, and Edo, which is Tokyo now.
Yep. And you got that bird glider you can use to get around. You got a grapple hook like Sekiro style that you can use for traversal as well as combat. The battle system, which I mean, that's the thing I'm least worried about, because this Team Ninja, like, will the combat be good? It's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
that's kind of their bread and butter. But the storytelling stuff and it almost is like them doing Assassin's Creed, where there's like a bunch of historical figures you're going to encounter and like help out. I'm excited to see them do something like this, like, again, an open world, and also something that is based in reality and less fantastical. I think it looks like, I think that could be a sleeper if it works out.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It's wild that like essentially across 3 platforms, although Dragon's Dogma is multi-platform, but like across 3 platforms, there are 3 solid games coming out on the same day is just kind of wild, you know, and especially 2 exclusives, Switch and PS5, like just kind of crazy to me. But yeah, Rise of Ronin looks cool. I like Team Ninja. I don't know if it's gonna be a day one purchase, but it's definitely one of those, like, this is an anticipated game that maybe I'll get to in December of next year. Like, it's like my cleanup, because it looks really cool.
Thankfully, I had to look it up because I was like, what day does 22nd fall on? It's a Friday. So you get a full weekend.
Yeah.
If you're a person that's going to buy both or all 3 of these games day one, at least you got the weekend to spend some time with them.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Of course, who could forget South Park Snow Day, the upcoming THQ Nordic joint. That looks like I'm morbidly curious. Yeah, I mean, I like South Park. This is a 3D 4-player co-op game.
Not an RPG.
No.
Which I think is the biggest bummer. Like, I think everyone wanted another RPG.
It reminds me of like
were so good.
The old N64 games, but like
because it's polygonal too. Like, it doesn't look like, it doesn't have like the show art style. But it's still the fantasy stuff that they did with like Stick of Truth, where they're like LARPing basically. So it's like it's got that DNA still. That's kind of like a wait and see, where like cautious optimism, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I wanted another RPG. That and The Fractured But Whole were both such excellent games, and I hadn't watched South Park in years and years when I played them, but like they still felt like old South Park that I watched when I was younger, and also just kind of solid, really solid RPGs. So this one being a completely different genre is curious. But also, Matt Stone and Trey Parker have been very involved in the games since that N64 game was so awful on the bad PlayStation games. Like, notoriously, they got really hands-on after that because they wanted any new South Park game to really feel like the show. So we'll see.
I do also want to shout out the developers Question LLC, which they made the Blackout Club, which was a pretty cool game. And also the Magic Circle before that, which also was, I think, like received pretty well. So like they are a studio that that has worked on some interesting games that are generally very looked upon or remembered fondly. So, you know, it's a cool studio that's done some cool games, done some cool work. Maybe it'll actually be cool. I think the trailer just didn't do it a lot of justice, honestly. Because it didn't really tell us what it was. It was just kind of like,
it's a snow day.
Here's 3D shiny 3D Cartman, and also, I mean, it could be like maybe Question is working on this, as a, you know, maybe they're like contracting out some work while they're working on their own games internally. You never know. But the fact that they're working on it, I'm interested to see more about the game. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I'll say that. Let's jump to April. We're almost, you know, believe it or not, even though we're only in April, we don't really know many release dates after April. So we're kind of going to be rounding out the show here in a few, but April 16th, Europa hits PC. This game I'm looking forward to. The publisher is Future Friends Games.
Yeah, I played the demo during our winter break.
Yeah, how was it?
No. It was fun. Like,
I was worried, like the game. I mean, the game looks gorgeous. It's very much like has caught the attention of a lot of people.
It's got a Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, but it was one of those games where I'm like, okay, is it gonna be fun to play though, or is it just gonna be a looker? You know?
Yeah, it seemed like it's a lot of like open world sort of like platforming and traversal from what I played. Like, you got this weird kind of jetpack, and you're just kind of like jumping and flying around these kind of platforming puzzles.
Yeah.
Well, like this narrative about like, oh, we're on this, because you play as like an android boy, apparently. And then your creator, who's like your dad, quote unquote, is like leaving these journals, and that kind of ties together the backstory of like, hey, we left Earth for this other planet that you're on because we destroyed Earth because we are bad people. And that seems to be more or less the driving force story, is like him, the robot boy exploring Europa, I guess, the moon that they're on. It seems like there might be something there. Like, generally enjoyed myself, but it's one of the things like I need to play more of it,
Yeah. I mean, like, also, this is like, I believe, Helder Pinto is the name of the developer. It's largely, I believe, produced by this. I'm sure he's got a lot of help through like freelancers and stuff, but like this is like being pinned as like this is like a dude's game. And from what I can tell, their first game, at least on Steam, like when they're listed as the the creator. So I guess I'm just curious, what comes of this. But I like some of the games that Future Friends puts out. Like they put out that, or they haven't put it out yet, but it's on my wish list. Laysara, the Summit Kingdom. That looked cool. Gordlitz, The Block. If anybody played that, it's like a little small city builder game. So interesting publisher. Really cool that it's like a small team. It typically means like more of a cohesive vision, hopefully it's a good one. I'm excited to see more. April 23rd, Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Are you looking forward to this, Matt? Are you? Yeah.
This is a big one. So at PAX East, not 2023, but I think 2022, I got to play Ayuden Chronicle Rising, which was like this side-scrolling game created in the universe. Which was excellent. And like, I'm a big Suikoden sicko. So like the first 3 Suikoden games are some of my favorite video games ever. And this is in that vein, right? It's like more tactics based. It's more like large scale. And this looks like and I think some of the original creators of Suikoden worked on this game. Like this studio is comprised of some of those folks. And so I'm really excited for this. It looks really good. I mean, we're also supposedly getting Suikoden remasters/remakes, though I have no idea what the date on those are at this point. But
TBA.
Yeah, they were like real gung ho about it, and then we hadn't heard anything. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll wait. But this one looks really great, and I like the world they're building, and I liked the characters from the side scroller. It was a fun little action game, nothing incredible, but like as a bonus like preview, it was a lot of fun. And this one looks like it's going to be another big ass RPG. Like we've got one a month, and then some have 2 in 1 month. It's like I don't know if I'm going to play anything but RPGs this year because there's so many.
I don't think you'll be allowed to.
Right? It's the rule that my podcast is going to become an RPG podcast at this point, which my co-host wouldn't hate. But yeah, it looks really good, and I love the art style. It's kind of like this paper doll thing, sprite work. Like it's really a neat kind of like animation style that looks really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks neat. Tales of Kanzara comes out April 23rd. We got a better look at that at the Game Awards. I talked to the creator, like the original creator of the idea, I guess the game director. I know it's like he's got a whole team working for him.
Is that the Bayek voice actor, the one that was on stage?
Yes.
Like the guy. He voiced Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. And if you watch the Game Awards, he was the one on stage that gave the emotional speech about his dad.
I think he goes by Abu Salim, Abu Bakar Salim, I believe, is his full name. But people, I don't know, maybe Abu is his nickname. I hear people calling him by that. But yeah, voice of Bayek in AC Origins. Really nice
the
guy.
Last Magi.
I met him at the Critical Role party at Game Awards. He's a nice guy. Very passionate, had a lot of knowledge. The kind of guy that like, oh yeah, you're a game director. Like you clearly have like a whole vision. And of course, like it's like inspired by not only Bantu myth, but also like his personal story of like his father and the loss there. And it seems like a really cool game.
It's like a side-scrolling sort of action game.
Metroidvania, I think, too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It looks cool.
Yeah. Definitely one to look at. I think the art style is really strong, too. But that's April 23rd. Saga Emerald Beyond. Is this one of you? Are you looking forward to this, Matt?
I've not played the Saga series. Okay, I have a few friends who are really into them.
Me
but
too,
like, it looks really cool, but it's not really on my radar. I've wanted to dive into the Saga series. If this becomes a decent entry point, maybe I'll play it later on in the year because there's so many others. But it does look cool. But yeah, I don't really have a skin in the game with that series.
Fair. April 30th, Braid Anniversary Edition comes out, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
I remember
Finally.
buying Braid in, it was either the first or second ever Humble Bundle. And getting that, Machinarium, there was a couple others, and just watching my friend play Braid like into the night. But I never got to play it myself. I was just like, but it's like I have this like really fun memory attached to it of like spending a weekend at my buddy's house just watching him play Braid. And I'm gonna play this one.
Yeah, one of my biggest shames, I've never beaten Braid.
Yeah,
I've played it multiple times and I really like it. And maybe I was too dumb in 2007 when it came out, even though I've always enjoyed puzzle games, but I would always get tripped up at a certain point and then just would fall off. So maybe this will be the time that I go back and like actually finish it, because it's like, for like how important that game is to what the indie scene, it's like I should finish this, but I don't know. It's a running thing, me not finishing Jonathan Blow games, because I never beat The Witness either.
It's funny. I was at Day of the Devs last month for the Game Awards edition of Day of the Devs, and I see Jonathan Blow walking around. I'm like, wait, was that Jonathan Blow? And I was like, oh yeah, Braid's coming out again, and I totally forgot.
Was he doing a line puzzle on a wall? And you're like, okay, that's Jonathan Blow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, wait, because I'd never seen him in person before, and so I was like, I know this guy from like interviews and like the indie game movie, of course, and I was like, oh, that's him. He's just right there. Oh, what's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should have asked him about Soldier Boy.
Well, oh God.
Like, what are your thoughts on Soldier Boy?
I'm not familiar with this reference, Marcus, but I'm gonna look it up after.
Wait, have you not seen that clip?
No, I haven't.
Oh, there's a really. Do you know what I'm talking about, Matt?
No, I don't think I've seen this.
I think it's from Indie Game the Movie. I don't remember. There was a clip of an E3 or a patch or something where Soldier Boy went and Braid was like just coming out, and like Soldier Boy and his crew are playing Braid, and the whole time Soldier Boy's like ripping on the game, saying like, what is this game? It doesn't even, you can't do nothing. Like he's just saying like it was just like he just did not get it, basically.
I remember,
And he's just him jumping into a pit and rewinding constantly and being like, oh, what is this? This guy doesn't do anything. And for some reason it's like a somewhat viral clip. So
and
you should have asked Jonathan Blow about it. So
Jonathan Blow's like crying about it, right? Or something like that.
I don't know if I've ever seen him react to it.
I'm seeing a clip on YouTube. Jonathan Blow crying in the dark room about Soldier Boy. I don't know if this is real or not, or if it's a meme.
I was like, I mean, if it's I've never heard him reference or anything like respond to it in any way.
Oh wait, from Jonathan Blow's Twitter, there's a quote about him. Say what you will about Blow. He's one of the only devs with a name who kept his house clean. Most controversial thing he ever did was become visibly frustrated with Soldier Boy. But dude, that's it. And then Jonathan Blow replies, I didn't even do that. We liked the Soldier Boy video and thought it was great that a famous dude was getting a kick out of the game. The Soldier Boy / Braid meme thing is a weird distortion based on a scene from the movie being kind of unclear / easy to misinterpret. Gotcha.
Okay.
There you go. Soldier Boy, Jonathan Blow, best friends.
Yeah, apparently,
Apparently.
Yeah. They're making games
Maybe it'll be a cameo in the anniversary edition.
You replaced Soldier Boy with just
a little Soldier Boy. A Braid is one of those games that felt ominously missing from the Switch, which is like my indie machine these days. Like I have Castle Crashers on it, like all of these Xbox 360 and Xbox Live was like the way I discovered indies back in the day, and I think a lot of us. And like Missplosion Man's on Switch, Castle Crashers, a bunch of these, but like Braid, one of the earliest indie games, wasn't. And so I was like, why have they re-released Braid? So I'm excited that it's coming out. I'm definitely going to pick it up. I loved the original game. I don't know that I ever finished it either. I have a habit of abandoning puzzle games like at the slightest bit of conflict, or if I can't find a walkthrough, because I love a good walkthrough. But I want to go back to Braid because I really remember liking it a lot, even though I don't know that I ever finished it.
Yeah, man, so many games. Side note, I started a Notion spreadsheet where I'm going to be tracking all of my video games that I'm actively playing.
What is a Notion spreadsheet?
Notion is like an online tool. You can use it I'm using it for free. But it's like you can do blogs with it. You can do spreadsheets with it. You can do a lot of stuff with it. mood boards.
Yeah, it's a
with it, I
project
think.
tracking software essentially.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
can create projects in it and like create spreadsheets and articles and other stuff. It's really useful.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, I'm glad you're tracking that shit. Do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
sponsored by
Nerdy.
Notion, by the way.
we are not. But
Yeah.
a funny anecdote. They have like a featured video game organization list template that I downloaded, and I was like, oh, this is great. This has like a spot for my completed games and my notes and reviews about them. Video game master list where I can track the games that like my backlog and the games I've beaten, and just have an easy access to everything I own or am looking or want to play. And then I found out it was made by Jean-Luc from GameSpot.
Oh, nice.
I was like, author Jean-Luc. I don't. This looks familiar. I clicked on it, and it took me to his Twitter, and I was like, oh. So I tweeted him. I was like,
shout out to Jean-Luc.
Yeah, shout out to Jean-Luc from GameSpot. Well, I guess I've got on looking at the remaining games. We've got 3 on the list. I'm just gonna read them out real quick. Destiny 2: The Final Shape hits June 4th. Black Myth Wukong hits August 20th. Both of those games having their own set of controversies around them for obviously very different things. I believe Reb Valentine has very robust reporting on Black Myth Wukong that you should go read on IGN. And then Destiny 2 at this point, I think, has been well documented on Game Informer regarding layoffs at Bungie and comments that have been made by Bungie leadership about staff and staff livelihood. But both of those games are coming out. And then in September, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is hitting. It's September 9th. And the rest is all to be announced, which we are an hour and 46 minutes into the podcast. I think we could do a part 2 on this maybe in the next week or two. Marcus, what do you think? And kind of go through our highlights of the games that don't have dates yet. That way we could also get Kyle back in. But real quick, am I missing any big game that the two of you really want to shout out as being like, this doesn't have a date, but I'm really looking forward to this?
I mean, our header image for that is Senua Saga Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
That's one I'm looking forward to. That's coming out this year, maybe. And then kind of scrolling down the list. I mean, there's a few that stand out, but I guess sort of gun to my head, I'm gonna pick
Earthblade.
I mean, that's one. Earthblade, Rise of the Golden Idol, sequel to The Case of the Golden Idol. I really like that game a lot. There's
Hyper Light Breaker, early access at least.
Yeah.
I think they've said they're going to launch an early access. Avowed, yep.
Yeah. That's one I want to see more of and looks cool. I like Obsidian. What about you, Matt?
So like the big ones for me, like really quick, Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2. It's a Gears of War like. The first game was incredible for what it was.
It's a good game.
I can't believe we're getting
one of only 2 40K games I've ever beaten.
And I can't believe that we're getting a sequel. Like I remember buying that because I love Gears of War, and I was like, this game is great. This is so much fun. I love this world, and now we're getting a sequel. I'm just really stoked for that. One that's not on this list because it was technically on last year's list, but still hasn't come out, which is Mina the Hollower. I feel like it has. There's no date. They never give a date. They never give a date until they give an actual release date. But like, they've been working on it a while, and like, I feel like it has to be coming out this year. I don't know. I mean, you all know I love Yacht Club. Shout out to Celia over at Yacht Club. Like, I love those folks, and so I hope it comes out this year because I just want to play it greedily. Like, I want it for myself. Sure. But I don't know if it's definitely coming out this year. So that's probably the biggest one that I can think of. I mean, there's a ton. Oh God, I mean, you mentioned Earthblade before. It does look really cool. I kind of really want to play that. But Hyper Light Breaker also, like, I like Hyper Light Drifter. I loved Solar Ash. Solar Ash is one of my all-time favorite games, and so like, I love that studio. Also, like the big one for me, Paper Mario 1000 Year Door is getting a remaster remake that doesn't have a date yet, and that's going to be a big one for me. I think those are kind of the biggest ones that I can think of.
Yeah. Oh, can I shout out real quick Baby Steps? That's
one. Oh yeah,
that does look really ridiculous.
Yeah. The Bennett Foddy / Ape Out dude collaborate. That game looks that looks really funny.
I want to see more from Animal Well.
Oh yeah, Animal Well looks really cool. And then like what was the other one I just saw? Plucky Squire. Plucky Squire looks like such a like a Matt Storm ass game. And so a Matt Storm stuff game. And so like I'm really excited for that one, even though it doesn't have a release date yet, because the animation in that, like the trailers at least, looks incredible.
That gives me, for some reason, I think of Tunic with that game. Like I feel like that's going to be a game that like has a lot more to it than I think people are expecting in the way that Tunic did.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for the episode this week. Before we go, though, a little housekeeping. Don't forget to go and follow our lovely guest and podcast editor, Matt Storm, at DJ_Stormageddon. Don't forget to go follow Marcus Stewart here at Marcus Stewart 7. And you can go follow Kyle's Ghost at Kyle M. Hilliard. You can follow me, Alex Van Aken, at It's Van Aken. Don't forget to go and grab a single print magazine issue of Game Informer at your local GameStop or on GameStop.com/Game Informer for $7.99. Go follow us on Twitch and YouTube, twitch.tv/Game Informer. We stream replay on Fridays at 2 p.m. Central, as well as YouTube, youtube.com/Game Informer.
Yeah. Our new Super Replay kicking off this Friday.
Oh, there we go. Awesome. Remind us
Legend of Zelda. Oh, sorry. We're playing from start to finish The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Nice.
Which you've
for
never
the first
played.
time.
Yeah.
Only biggest Zelda game I've never played as a Zelda fan. Yeah.
Go listen to All Things Nintendo, which is our weekly Nintendo podcast hosted by Brian Shea. It releases on Fridays. And I think that's going to be it for this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in, listening, watching, wherever you're watching this or listening. We thank you for giving us your time. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Good luck on your New Year's resolutions. May you keep them at least until next week when we talk to you next Thursday. Have a good week, everyone. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.